Man, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome. We're back with some more of the Ty Tucker case. Now, if you guys don't recall, the last video, you guys go ahead and check that out. He goes on the stand and pretty much testifies on his own behalf. Now, whenever someone testifies on their own behalf, apparently it's kind of like a monologue. He just explains what happened, point A to point Z, completes it, and that's pretty much the end of the story. There's no questions being asked to him. Now we have cross-examination of the prosecution, and they're about to grill him. Now, I mean, they're about to go in depth because, throughout most of his story, he can't really remember. Memory's foggy. He was drinking too much. Oh, it was Fantasy Fest. I wasn't able to remember. So now we're going to have prosecution ask him the hard questions. Let's go ahead and check this out. Although all those who are supporting me, make sure you go check out the Patreon. If you want to go follow the Instagram to give me ideas for videos, also go follow the Instagram. Let's get this thing.
You were drunk that day.
Yep.
Plastered.
Yep.
You were drinking highballs, red balls, what you call them?
Fireball.
Fireballs. What's a fireball?
I'm surprised you don't know, but okay.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
No, you're wrong. I was getting ready. I'm answering your question. Fireball is it's a whiskey.
He damn sure knows what a damn fireball is. Come on, prosecution. You know what a fireball is. You don't drink on the weekends? I find it hard to believe that.
It's cinnamon whiskey. It's very popular. That's why I said I'm surprised.
And that's what you drank. That's what you were drinking the day that this all happened.
Yes, sir.
Got so drunk you went back to the warehouse, went upstairs, fell asleep,
Knocked out.
knocked out.
Yep.
Now you were at the warehouse. You said you had been there on and off, right?
Well, not necessarily on and off. I mean, I actually staying there. I think there was only two times. There was during the hurricane, and then there was the time period. For CJ and Michelle. Other than that, I knew a couple people who lived there, and yes, man, I'd stop by there every once in a while.
So you were basically house sitting for CJ and Michelle.
Yes, sir.
But this is not a apartment building, right? This is like a flop house. People are renting rooms or hanging out in rooms.
I wouldn't call it that. And the thing is because that's a fairly derogatory term. And
Okay, the question's very simple. It's not a rentable apartment building where you rent rooms.
Okay, to put it this way, was the landlord doing something illegal? Sure. Did everybody else know that they weren't supposed to be there?
Mr. Tucker.
Well, I don't know what you're asking.
The question is very specific.
Okay, be specific.
It's not a place where you rent apartments. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, because they had apartments there for rent.
Okay. There were actual legitimate apartments for rent in this warehouse.
And that's why I was answering your question the way I did.
And that's why he was answering the question the way he was. Now, one thing that prosecution is going to fuck up on, one thing that prosecution can ruin in this investigation is to try to get their narrative across so strongly that it makes them look like the bullies here. We don't want to look like the bully. We don't want to look like we're forcing a narrative. We want to look like we're forcing the truth out. You know what I mean? So the second it becomes this thing where it's like, oh, they're bullying the witness, what they say, badgering the witness, or, you know what I mean? Like, what is Fireball? Come on, you know what Fireball is. You don't know what Fireball is?
Legitimate? No, the landlord was not. He was, he's subletting this thing, and he built apartments in it.
So you were house sitting for your friends, right?
Yes.
And that's the only reason you were even staying at the place at that point in time?
Yes.
But you didn't have another place to live, right? You said
No, I mean, the
cops.
thing is, I was actually saving up for a boat. I actually had money in my pocket.
Okay, I didn't ask you about money in your pocket. You were actually staying at a homeless shelter known as Cops.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
All right. So you didn't have a permanent home.
No.
And you did your share of partying during this time,
Yes.
right? You said it was Fantasy Fest, and this is what you do at Fantasy Fest. You tie one on for a couple of weeks, you said, right?
Oh, yeah. Around Fantasy Fest time, yeah, of course.
It goes on for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, yeah, probably every Fantasy Fest I've ever been to.
Gentlemen, approach.
Yes.
Showing what's been previously marked as whiskey for identification. You recognize that?
Sure do.
And what is that?
That would be me.
And is that how you looked at back in November?
It sure is.
Seek to move in, W?
there any objection?
No, Your Honor. I'm just wondering what the relevance of what I looked like back then. But
I mean, if there's an objection.
no, it's okay. We can go ahead and put it in.
All right, so admit as dates next in order.
18.
And of course, they go and show the most haggard picture that they can find of him. You guys all know the mugshot, the one where he's like, the one where he looks like he's he's crossfaded, he's drunk and high at the same time. I'm pretty sure that's the one they're going to show. That's why he's like, what's the relevance of how I looked like back then? You know what I mean? This has been 6 years. But hey, prosecution's going to do what prosecution can do. You know, they're going to do what they're going to do. You know what I mean? And this is why I feel like prosecution might be going a little too headstrong with this narrative. Like they're badgering the narrative home. And it's kind of like, you know, let things naturally flow that way. But anyways, we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Ms. Violet. So this is how you look back in 2017, right? Pretty full goatee.
Oh, yeah. Big full goatee.
Big full goatee, right? Yep. Kind of thing that would be hard to cover if you were putting a mask on that stopped at the chin, right?
I wouldn't say that. I actually wouldn't say that.
Wouldn't
because
agree with that?
I mean, again, that would be speculation, so I'll object.
Okay, so you don't agree that it would be hard to cover if you just had a simple face mask?
I'm not going to agree to that at all. Because, man, again, I'm not saying
Certainly
it
easier
would.
to-
I'm not saying it wouldn't.
Certainly easier to cover with a neck gaiter, right? You pull the neck gaiter up, it covers the mouth, the chin, everything.
Well, the thing is here's the thing: is that whole neck gaiter thing. I didn't know what one was until after I heard your client say it. Or
Didn't know
I should
what a
say
neck
not
gaiter
your client, but whatever.
Didn't know what a neck gaiter was.
No, I didn't actually, to be honest.
All right, so now you're living at this warehouse. You know Rory Wilson, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You guys are hanging out now and then, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Partying
like I said,
together?
I don't know. You know, like again, I didn't go over there all the time because April and I did not get along. So, I'm not trying to hang out with her too much.
April didn't like you.
No, she did not.
You didn't like her.
No, I did not actually. Now, did we hang out sometimes? Sure. And I remember there's times we did party. You know, that was like I remember one time we went downtown. You know, Rory Wilson, because again, here's the thing: is I remember this during the hurricane. They had, was it the hogfish? They were
Mr.
getting-
Tucker, I'm going to cut you off, sir. There's no question pending. Did you hang out socially or not with April Walker and Rory
No,
Wilson?
April Walker, I tried not to.
Okay.
And you know, I'm not saying she didn't come looking for Rory a couple times, but yeah, I tried not to. But Rory Wilson, yes, I did hang out with him on a few occasions.
And you heard that
Excuse me
out.
one thing, is that exhibit being published, or are you going to take it back to the?
Oh, I've already published it, Judge. I already-
Okay, so we're going to either put it on the podium, or let's bring it to the
Okay.
clerk. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr.
See, what I'm trying to say is, I don't know. What I'm seeing here from prosecution is that they're trying to make him look like the bad guy without sufficient evidence. Like, oh, look at this picture. It's a pretty full goatee, huh? Could you pull a mask over that, or would it be easier to pull a whatever that's called over it instead of a ski mask? It's like they're trying to match him to the crime, even though I'm not seeing that much evidence matching him yet. You know what I mean? They're trying to say, oh, he looked like a bad guy. Oh, you were homeless. Oh, you were staying in a flop house, right? It wasn't even real rent. You needed money. You're just nothing but a drug head, you know? They gotta be careful with that narrative, because if not defense or prosecution, if the jury starts to think that you're just blowing smoke up their ass, they're gonna turn on you. Man, I'm so irritated, man. I finished the entire video and found out my disk space was too full. So barely any of the video got finished. But anyway, let's continue. We're just doing the video twice now.
Okay, so Mr. Tucker, so you heard the testimony, right? You heard that there was an allegation that you threatened April Walker.
Oh, I've heard that testimony, but testimony wasn't true.
So you didn't threaten
Oh no,
Wilson's pregnant, 9 months
no.
pregnant girlfriend.
Oh no.
You
No,
actually
no.
felt bad for her because she was put on the ground during the
Yes,
raid.
I did. And man, look, even if I don't like somebody, you know, again, seeing them on the ground in that position when she's 8 months pregnant, yes, that's not cool. You know, that's bottom line. I didn't like her, but that doesn't mean you put her on the ground in that position.
Now, you testified that you went up to CVS with Rory Wilson that night?
No, I did not.
When did you and Rory Wilson go to CVS for you
To
to
tell you
get
the honest
smoke?
truth, that was put to me by investigators. They said that, but again, I told you I was drunk that day, and I'm sitting there and I tried to remember it, and man, I'm sitting there going, I don't remember doing that.
But you just testified to this jury that you went to CVS to get
Oh,
cigarettes.
I went to
wasn't it?
Tom Thumb
Tom
to get
Thumb, okay.
cigarettes, and it wasn't
Tom
with
Thumb.
Rory Wilson. It was with Travis.
With Travis.
Right.
You and Travis went. Let's
So
talk
let's
about
get
Travis.
the story straight.
You and Travis were.
You see how prosecution is trying to jump around to get him confused? They're like, oh yeah, you went to CVS with Rory Wilson. He's like, I never said that. You guys are saying that. He's like, no. But so let's talk about when you and Rory went to CVS that time. He's like, no. I went to Tom Thumb with Travis, a completely different person. Now, I don't know if that's because prosecution isn't keeping their notes in line. Like, oh, he said he went with Travis, not Rory, or if they're trying to trip him up. But honestly, right now, man, I don't know. Prosecution is not looking that strong.
Acquaintances, right?
Yes, we were acquaintances.
Okay. Travis was staying at the warehouse as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, you and Travis were both staying upstairs in the warehouse, right?
Yes, when I was staying in CJ and Michelle's room, yes.
Travis was in another room upstairs.
Yes, he was upstairs. But you got to remember, he also went to jail. So, I mean, he wasn't there for a second. So,
Right? But he came back about a week later, right?
to be honest, I don't remember how long it was. I know I was at work when he went to jail.
Let me ask you, Mr. Tucker, was Travis there the day of the raid?
That's the thing is, he wasn't there in the beginning, right? Because the man, he wasn't there.
Was he there when they took you down and put you in the police car?
No, he wasn't there for that.
Was he there when they took
He
you
wasn't
off
there
to-
for that part of it. At least not that I know of, right?
Was he there when
wasn't
they took you off to jail?
Was he there no, because when I went to jail, I was at COTS. And when I went to jail, they didn't grab me from the warehouse. They grabbed me from COTS.
The night of the raid, they didn't take you down and then let you go?
They did take me down and let me go, but that wasn't taking me to jail. That was taking me down and interrogating me all night.
Okay, so the night they took you down to interrogate you, was Travis there when you guys left the warehouse to go down and be
Hold on,
interrogated?
hold on. Let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. Please repeat the question.
The night of the raid,
Right, gotcha.
when they took you down, not to jail, but to question you.
Right, gotcha.
Was Travis at the warehouse when you guys left to go to the police station?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know.
And how
'Cause
did you get to the police station that night?
I
they
got
took you?
there in a squad car in handcuffs.
Okay. Now, let's see. You said that while you were after you got arrested, you were in jail and you got reacquainted with an old high school friend of yours.
I thought that wasn't relevant.
You just testified to it, sir.
Okay, well, in that case, yes.
It's small things like that that makes me feel like prosecution isn't even prepared. They're talking about one time and they're having the defendant, the person that they're trying to send to jail, correct them in front of the jury. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys get, like, there's two arrests, right? There's one that takes him in, he doesn't go to jail. There's one where he goes to jail. They're mistaking those two times. How do you mistake that? I don't know about this guy, bro. Prosecution shit.
I did.
I'm going to ask you just to answer the questions if you could.
Yeah.
And if there's a relevant objection, you can make it.
Thank you.
But you don't need to question me.
Okay.
You said you were in jail.
Yes.
And you got reacquainted with this high
Yes.
school wife or a girlfriend of yours who became your wife.
Well, actually, again, she wasn't my high school girlfriend. She wasn't, she was a friend that I knew from when I was 14 years old. And yes, I hadn't seen her in 33 years.
And you guys ended up getting married, right?
Yes, we did.
And she is actually very wealthy, isn't she?
Multimillionaires.
I beg your pardon?
Multimillionaires.
And you guys are you married today to her?
Yes, I am.
Going beyond, I'm sorry, but I cut him off of your objection, and I
Okay, Judge. Well, he just testified about his wife.
he mentioned it, and you touched upon within the scope, but I believe
Okay.
this is beyond the scope.
I have no
and
problem
it-
talking about my wife.
Okay.
I understand, but I do.
I mean, prosecution even has the judge stopping him. The judge saying, hey, you know what? Why are we talking about this guy's rich-ass wife and how baller his life is right now? Well, why don't we go back to the thing at hand? See, the thing is, prosecution's trying to make this thing, they don't have enough evidence, bro. They don't. The evidence is shitty at best, right? So what do they try to do? They try to show you the picture of him in the goatee and how bummy he looks. And sure, I mean, I'm not saying I believe he's innocent, but I'm just saying the evidence speaks for itself. If there's a lack of evidence, you can't convict somebody. But anyways, they're trying to make this whole picture like, oh, you just wifed up your little rich high school girlfriend to come and save you and get your bail. Bro, honestly, if she was trying to help him like in that type of way in terms of money, I think he would have got represented by a lawyer and not by himself. But like the way they're trying to get this conviction, I'm pretty sure that the jury, they're going to sniff out the bullshit. You're not supposed to be frustrated as a prosecutor. You're supposed to be cool, relaxed, and have all the evidence that you need. But anyways, let's continue.
All right, so now you're not in jail the entire time waiting for your trial, right?
No, that's not true. I was in jail for 2 years.
And then you actually got out pending your trial.
$2 million bond.
Let's talk about Paula, your relationship with Paula Belmont.
Okay.
You just testified that you weren't great friends in the beginning. You just kind of knew of each other, right?
That is true.
She testified you'd never been to the Treehouse, but that's not accurate, right? Because you testified you'd actually been there 3 times.
I don't remember her ever testifying to that, but she may not have remembered it. It was one time. That's it.
I thought you said 3 times you'd been
No,
there.
I've been there 3 times, but Paula, and she woke me up one time yelling at me. Because, man, I wasn't supposed to be there, apparently. I don't know. But, man, the thing is, she woke me up and she was yelling at me. I don't even know if she remembers it.
And now, describe your relationship with Paula today.
Paula's one of my best friends.
One of your best friends.
Yes.
All right. To show you what's been previously marked for identification. There's a composite, 2 photos, Sierra 1 and 2. Do you recognize these photos?
I sure do.
And what do they depict?
They depict me and Paula at the hospital when I'm trying to make her feel better and making funny faces at the camera.
Well, what's changed? Now you said you were not always friends and now you're best friends with her. What changed?
Well, I don't know if you know the story of how that happened, but I'll go ahead and tell it to you if you want me to.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Paula was a victim in the crime, right? And now I am an accused murderer at that point, right? And here it is when this all happened, that makes it so that I can't talk to Paula, right? I'm not allowed to communicate with her. That makes sense, right? They had a protective order that immediately went in, and I couldn't talk to her. Paula, she gets diagnosed with COPD, right? And Paula, she actually files a motion with the court, right? Because she wants to, and she goes on the press and she starts saying this on the press, right? She wants to apologize to me for her role in anything that they've done to me. That's what she says.
So she's
And the judge
apologizing to you.
She wants to. She can't talk to me, right? So she wants to.
Now you're aware in the beginning she couldn't ID the second person, right?
Look, I'm aware in the beginning.
Very simple question. You are aware, yes or no, that in the beginning when she was first spoken
Mr.
to,
Mansfield.
she could not. Mr. Tucker,
You're
listen to
asking
the
me to
question,
remember
okay?
6 years ago, and
It's
then
a very
what,
simple
and what I
question.
thought then.
Are you aware?
Gentlemen, let him finish the question, then you can answer.
Yeah, let me answer it.
Okay, but he hasn't finished the question.
Okay.
See, prosecution's getting heated, baby. And when do people get loud and angry? When they don't really have that much to back themselves with. You know what I mean? I feel like prosecution's starting to realize at this point that the evidence ain't really evidencing. The main person who got attacked is friends with the accused murderer. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's a crazy little element you gotta play with, right? Now, again, prosecution trying to jam this image, trying to jam this narrative forward. If it doesn't fit with the jury, it's not gonna work. And I don't think the jury's really buying this. Not saying that they buy Tucker's story either, but it's just like prosecution doesn't have enough, and Tucker seems there's too much reasonable doubt.
Go ahead, Mr.
Ask away.
Thank you. Are you aware that 6 years ago, when she was first interviewed by the police, she could not ID the second person. Are you aware of that, yes or no?
I'm going to tell you, I'm aware that she could not positively ID the second person, man, when this first happened, no.
And she was able to identify Rory Wilson, but not the second person, correct?
The man's out here calling the man's out here calling his co-defendant Corey Wilson. Somebody get this guy the fuck out of here. This shit it's not working out. Somebody call in a sub, call a timeout. I don't know how we do it. The man just called his co-defendant Corey Wilson. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. Type in the comments. Tell me in the comments if prosecution's doing a decent job after all. But I think they're doing some trash. Corey Wilson, okay.
Yes, she did not positively ID the second person.
Well, she said she didn't get a good look at the second person, right?
That's not true.
She said that she was focused on Rory Wilson at the time, and
I
that
object, Your
the
Honor.
second person,
I object, Your Honor.
she
He's
couldn't get a
asking me
look
to go
at.
what I know from video and what I know from police reports now. You know,
To
that's,
sustain the objection, there are varying statements that she's made.
Yep.
So, at one point, she said it, but presumably, you're aware of other statements.
right.
Okay.
Because again, I watched all these videos and I read
So
all
let's
this
go back to
stuff.
that first night when she's interviewed. She says she can't ID the second person, right? Didn't get a good
Excuse
look
me,
at it.
hold on, excuse me, which night are we talking about?
Night of the crime when she's
Okay.
being interviewed.
Again, you're asking me to go to video, you're asking me to go to police reports, and that is hearsay, so
Are
I'll
you
object.
aware that she was
Object.
unable to identify the second person?
Excuse me?
Are you aware she was unable to identify the second person
At which time period?
the night of the crime?
Again, you're asking me to go to police reports, you're asking me to commit hearsay.
Simple question, sir.
So, objection.
Okay, I'm going to overrule that objection.
Okay.
It's just your awareness
Okay.
of one
My
point in
awareness-
time and one statement.
My awareness at the time, right, and if I can, and I'm going to have to remember this because the Lord knows I've gone over this a million times, so I'm going to have to think about my memory here. At the time, as far as even any statements by Paula, hold on a second, because, okay, I was in jail when this first happened.
I'm asking
Right,
you
no,
as you sit here,
sir,
Mr.
you're
Tucker,
asking me to remember.
I'm asking you as you sit here today, not where your mind was back then, as you sit here today.
Okay, as I sit here today,
Are you aware that she could not ID the second person
And
on the
you're
night
asking-
it happened?
okay, and you're asking me to commit hearsay.
I don't believe that's the case, so you
Oh, okay.
can answer it, and
Okay.
remember, you'll have the opportunity for
Okay,
re-witness
as I sit here,
I mean, even with him answering this question, like, okay, yeah, she wasn't sure the first night, then she changed her mind and said it definitely wasn't him the other nights. I still have Mr. Ty Tucker winning because prosecution can't get the person that he went to the store with to get cigarettes right. They're calling Rory Wilson Corey Wilson. Prosecution's getting angry every time he has anything that curves around the question. Instead of working with it and trying to get even more damning evidence in, he gets angry. Man, the prosecutor is actually dropping the ball right now. And one is because, sure, he's getting angry and he's kind of like trying to badger this entire idea that this is a bad man and he definitely would do something like this. But the main thing is, I don't think they have that much evidence. It's just really not, they don't really have that much evidence.
here
Tucker,
today.
just let me
Oops, sorry.
finish. You'll have the opportunity for redirect.
Okay, thank
So if you, after this is finished, want to elaborate on certain things, you may, but in terms of succinct answer to this question, you do
Yeah,
need to give.
I'll give you a succinct answer to this question. Okay, it depends on the time period as far as Paula. As today, I could definitely tell you that different time periods she said different things. I can say that.
And you're aware that the very night it happened, she did not identify the second person.
The very night it happened, again, that's the only reason I would even remember this right now is because we've been going over it recently.
Correct.
And I'm going over it, and she had varying statements at that point.
Well, you're certainly aware that at the perpetuated testimony,
Yes.
she was able to say it wasn't you as the second person, right?
I'm also aware that she was, again, coerced into making statements by police, so, okay.
Didn't ask you about that, sir. A very simple question.
Well, if you're
You
gonna-
are
if you're
aware-
gonna lead me- if
You
you're gonna
are
lead me-
aware that during her perpetuated testimony that you sat and watched,
Yes,
you observed her adamantly stating it was
Yes.
Tucker's not the second guy, right?
Yep, I sure did.
That was 4 years after the crime was committed.
That was 4
about
years.
3 years.
That was 4 years after the crime was committed.
Well, September of 20 would be about 3 years, right?
Okay, somewhere in there. But here's the thing.
And there's no question pending, sir. I'm asking the questions you're
Okay.
answering.
Go ahead.
Okay? That's how this works.
Okay, go for it. Ask me another question.
You see what I'm saying? Hold on, let's back that up. You see what I'm saying? Bro is getting heated over there in that corner. You're supposed to be the coolest man in the room. How are you letting the prosecution correct you, number one, and number two, be cooler and smoother than you? That's crazy. That's
Committed.
crazy.
That was
About
4 years.
3 years.
That was 4 years after the crime was committed.
Well, September of 20 would be about 3 years, right?
Okay, somewhere in there. But here's the thing.
And there's no question pending, sir. I'm asking the questions you're answering.
Man.
Okay? That's how this works.
Okay, go for it. Ask me another question. I'll take any ones you got.
Great. Good to hear it.
Yeah. That's why I put myself up here.
Now, she testified that she had talked to your wife through Facebook. Did you also communicate with her through Facebook?
No, I was not allowed.
So you never had any communications with her?
No, not on Facebook at that time.
Have you had any? You saw her at McDonald's after the crime, right?
Yes, but I was not under arrest at that point. I was not under a protective order at that point.
Okay, but when you saw her at McDonald's, you guys had a conversation there, right?
Yes, we did.
And did you tell her anything about the crime when you saw her at McDonald's?
I told her what had happened to me, about the police interrogating me, and she did ask me some questions. I remember that, and I remember answering, different questions as she asked them. I remember she told me her experience. She told me how horrible it was. I remember, like I said, sitting there feeling like, you talk about feeling, God, not sorry for somebody. That's the wrong way to say it.
So you
but
communicated
whatever.
with, is it fair to say you communicated with her at McDonald's?
Yes.
Now, is it your testimony today that you've not communicated with her directly at all from that moment until today?
No. When did I
Okay.
say that?
So tell us about those communications. You said you weren't allowed to
Okay.
talk to her, right?
Yes, sir. And I
Okay,
also said
and when did that end?
I also said she filed a motion with the court to be able to talk to me, and that yes, she was going on the press saying the
It's like prosecution doesn't even know this. He's like, so you expect me to believe that you didn't talk to her from then to now? Even look at how the judge reacts to that question. The judge is even like, did you not hear he said they've been communicating like this whole time? Like, look, like how would they have the pictures if they weren't communicating this whole time? You know, the pictures that were recently taken. Look at the judge's reaction.
With her at McDonald's.
yes.
Now, is it your testimony today that you've not communicated with her directly at all from that moment until today?
No. When did I
Okay.
say that?
The judge is like, wait, what? Prosecution's dropping the ball. I ain't gonna lie to you.
So tell us about those communications. You said you weren't allowed to
Okay.
talk to her, right?
Yes, sir. And I
Okay,
also said
and when did that end?
I also said she filed a motion with the court to be able to talk to me, and that yes, she was going on the press saying these things, that she wanted to apologize to me. Judge Jones granted that motion, and
you
she
had
was allowed to
communication.
talk to me.
And then
that's
you've had,
and now we
you've
are.
had general communications with her ever since.
He was
Sorry.
still testifying.
Sorry, I'm just telling
No,
you.
I'm not talking to you. I'm saying, if you weren't complete with your answer, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just. Look, there comes a point where.
Judge, again, there's no question
No,
pending.
well, he was still answering the
Thank you.
last question.
Yeah,
So
thank
go, finish your answer to
Man, he is getting hot. Judge, there was no question pending. There was no question pending. Bro, he won't let the man finish the question, right? Talk over him. The judge is going to correct him, and then he's going to bark at the judge. How about that? Nah, see, this is where prosecution's dropping the ball, guys. This is where he might have a chance of winning this, because if I'm sitting there in the pew, in the stands watching this shit, I'm like, man, prosecution don't even know. He's rushing shit, clearly trying to paint a narrative. Man, I don't even want to put my vote in at this point. You know what I mean? Well, look at this.
and
you
she
had
was allowed to
communication.
talk to me.
And then
that's
you've had,
when, and now we
you've
are.
had general communications with her ever
He
since.
was
Sorry.
still testifying.
Sorry, I'm just telling
No,
you.
I'm not talking to you. I'm saying, if you weren't complete with your answer, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just. Look, there comes a point where.
Judge, again, there's no question
No,
pending.
well, he was still answering the
Thank you.
last question.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
go, finish your answer to the last question.
Judge Jones granted the order allowing us to be able to talk. And that day, yeah, I was in tears.
Okay, so you got the interiors part out. The jury heard it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
All right, great. Let's move on. So you've talked to her, admittedly, since then.
Oh, quite a bit.
Quite a bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Do you remember her taking a trip to California?
Vaguely, yes.
She posted pictures of it, right?
If I remember right, she posted pictures of Woody.
Of who?
She likes Woody from, I guess, I forget what the name of the movie is. It's some Disney thing, man. But she likes a character named Woody.
Oh, Woody from Toy Story.
That's what it is. Thank you.
Okay. 1 minute, please, Judge.
All right?
I'm not sure if we could talk at that time, though.
Ever since that order was lifted, you've had pretty steady communication with her. Is that fair to say?
Fairly steady. Sometimes, man, a little more, sometimes less.
Now, you talked about this friend, Big somebody. What's his name again?
Big Scott.
Big Scott.
Yep.
Big Scott was staying at the warehouse with everybody?
No, he was not. He was there that night, yes, but
Which night is that, sir?
that would be, I guess that would be the night of the crime. Because, again, you know, like I said, I went go get cigarettes with Travis, come back, and Big Scott is at the door.
And so Big Scott, was he a friend of yours or an acquaintance? How would you describe him?
Actually, he's a friend, you know, and he was a friend. I think he was a friend to a couple people there.
And at some point, are you aware of Big Scott telling you and Travis and Rory, I don't know what you guys are plotting, but I want nothing to do with it? Do you remember that comment?
No,
No?
no.
When did you first learn that Mr. Bonnet had been murdered?
You notice how he asked that question and he's just like, no. And he's like, no. And he just completely moves on to another topic. It's like he's throwing fish in. It's like you throwing fishing line out there trying to get a fish caught. And it's like, oh, he didn't go for it. Let me try a different piece of bait. It's not like if it was a concrete thing that he was asking and it's like, no. He said this. And remember when that was said and this and that was said, he was like, is it true or not that, you know, Big whoever his name was told you guys that, you know, he wants nothing to do with you guys are plotting? No. Moving on. It's like, where's the pushback? You know, it makes me feel like prosecution has really nothing at all. They have a hunch. That's what they have.
I told you that already.
Okay, but you need.
I didn't. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I knew Mr. Bonnet got murdered at that point. At that point, the first time I heard anything about what had happened at the Treehouse, and it wasn't even the Treehouse. Where, you know, they told me somebody got stabbed in the CVS parking lot. That's the first time I heard about it.
So the way you heard about it, the stabbing
Yes.
was alleged to have happened in the CVS parking lot.
Right. The next time I heard about it, I was at the police station.
Is that when you found out it was actually at this Treehouse location?
Yes.
And that's when you were talking to Detective Pitcher, right?
That would be Detective Pitcher, Danielle Malone, and Captain Phelps.
Now, at some point, didn't you tell Detective Pitcher what you told this jury today, that you were not involved and that you were sleeping off, you were drunk and sleeping it off or something?
Yeah, I told him, man, I told him the same thing. I couldn't remember much, man, from the night. And yes, I remember passing out. I remember waking up
Right.
because I needed cigarettes, and I went to was it the Tom Thumb, and Travis went with me.
And that's what you told Detective Pitcher, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you even told Detective Pitcher that just ask Travis, he'll back you up, right?
I thought so. I didn't know anything was wrong.
All right. Well, Travis didn't back you up, did he?
No, he didn't.
Travis
there's a
came
good reason
clean
for that.
and gave a statement to the police, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And,
Okay.
you know,
It's just a
again-
yes, no?
Okay. Yes,
I
he
need your
did.
commentary on.
It's just a yes, no. I don't need your commentary. I'm the one asking the questions here, okay? I run this shit. You understand? Listen, I'll say one thing. Travis is not that much of a good, like, he's not that good of a witness because he's clearly somebody who'll say anything he needs to say to put himself in the right position for him, you know? He'll stab whoever's back. He'll go behind whoever. Whatever keeps Travis okay is what Travis is going to do. So, one, you could kind of look at it like, yeah, sure, Travis said this, Travis said that, But at the same time, Travis is doing this to reduce his sentence. So you can't really depend on what he's saying. Like on the alternate theory, I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm saying alternate theory is that Travis did the robbery with somebody, got caught up and said, fuck it, let me just blame him because we hang out all the time and that'll like lessen my sentence and everything will just tie in together. But, Travis is not the slam dunk that prosecution thinks that he is.
Yes, he did.
Do you remember when you saw Paula at McDonald's in this whole timeline? When did you run into her at McDonald's? The very next day? Was it 2 days later? 3 days later?
It was, let's see, hold on. It would have been, okay, because the raid, suppose, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, that happens on the 21st. Going into the 22nd is when I'm literally being interrogated all night. That day, whatever that day is, that would probably be, that would be the 22nd again, because it's that morning. So, okay, 22nd, it would be on the 22nd.
Okay. And let me ask you, Mr. Tucker, you were making pretty good money, right? $300 an hour to put these blue tarps up?
Yeah, I was doing all right.
What's the reason you hadn't gotten a place? You were still living in these temporary places.
I lived on a boat before, right? And as I testified, I was trying to save up for a new boat. There are going to be plenty of cheap ones around, but here's the thing is I don't like paying outrageous rents that are in Key West. I'd rather buy a boat and live on the water.
Now, you said you'd passed out that day drinking these fireballs, right?
Yes, sir.
What time in that, take us through that day, the timeline for that day. When were you drinking these fireballs?
I know, look, it's like I said, I don't really remember the day that well. I remember drinking during the day. I do remember that. I don't even remember all who was there. I know there were other people that came in and out. I know I passed out somewhere along the lines, but that, asking me specifics, especially 6 years later, I couldn't tell you.
So you started drinking these Red Balls, was the sun still up?
That would be Fireballs, sir. And
Fireballs.
yes, the sun was still up, while I was drinking. That is true.
All right.
Man, get somebody who is of this era. You got this man calling them Red Balls. Like, what the fuck is a Red Ball, sir? Man, if I'm over here in this jury, I'm over here like, bro, I don't know about prosecution. You guys let me know how you guys feel about prosecution, but I feel like he didn't go over his notes properly, he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't have enough evidence to formulate a really solid point, but this cross-examination was weak by the prosecution. Weak as hell.
Do you remember getting out of bed and going right to the partying phase, or did you do something else before it started that day?
I already testified to that. I told you that.
Okay, well, I'm asking again.
Okay. Well,
I appreciate you reminding me.
I'm just saying, I woke up at some point in the time, and I went and got cigarettes at the Tom Thumb. And I came back, and Travis was with me, and yes, Big Scott was there. I told you what happened after that.
But I'm talking about earlier in the day, when you got out of bed that day, did you go do something, or did you just start drinking?
No, actually, I'm pretty sure, because if I'm drinking during the day, I had a day off. So, if I'm drinking during the day, I had a day off. So, yeah, I would imagine I had the day off.
And do you remember passing out that day?
Yeah, remember passing out? I don't know if that's a proper term, but no,
Okay.
I don't remember passing out.
Don't remember passing out?
I remember I passed out somewheres along the lines, but yeah, I don't. I guess I'm being too literal here, but I remember, yes, I went to sleep sometime during the day and night. I don't know.
And do you remember what time you woke up?
No.
Day or night?
Night.
Police cars already out and about?
Police and cars were already up there.
I'll tell you one thing. He has an airtight story. Airtight in the fact that, like, when he says something, he sticks to it, and he can go around the whole circuit of the story, the lie, the truth, whatever you want to call it. He could go around the entire circuit and not get caught up, because multiple times he corrected prosecution. He's like, no, I didn't go with Rory. I went with the other guy. It wasn't CVS. It was Tom Thumb. Like, no, I was only there one time, not twice. Remember? He's very specific, he's tight with the story. So I'll give him that much, man. He's airtight with it.
There on Laurel Avenue, I could see, because, okay, I could see the lights from the Tom Thumb parking lot. I could see all the lights that were up on Laurel Avenue.
Do you know how many times Mr. Bonner was stabbed?
At this point, yes.
So now, I guess your story is that this is all being pinned on you, right? That you didn't do
Well,
this.
You, you would know better than anybody, Mr. Mansfield.
Oh, would I? But I
Yes.
wasn't there, you were. So why don't you tell me? Are you telling me this was all pinned on you?
I hate to tell you, again, Mr. Mansfield.
It's very simple,
You
Mr.
just
Tucker.
said
Is
that
your
I was
story
there and you have
today?
no proof of
Is your
that.
story
No,
today
sir.
that you were?
Sir.
This is all being made up and that you didn't do this?
Yes, this is it. That is my story all day,
Okay.
and I've said it since day one.
So this is just the big Bubba system going after you to pin this on you.
Yeah, and Mr. Mansfield. Again, I can answer that. Would you like me to answer it? Would you like me to tell you how I know that? You said you didn't want to go into that.
Well, you know what? Let's not go into that because I'm pretty sure what your opinion is has no factual basis to it.
Really?
So, in other words, this is your theory that this is all being pinned on you by the big Bubba system.
Your Honor, I would object unless he wants to let me go into the things he doesn't want to go into.
I'll sustain that last question.
Man, they are argumentative as hell. These two are going back and forth like cats and dogs. Nah, but I'll tell you one thing, man. Prosecution is doing ass of a job. And the way he keeps getting mad and he keeps getting angry, cutting them off, not letting them finish his sentence. Look, the jury's looking at that. You know what I mean? The jury is seeing this. You're getting frustrated. And the evidence is trash. I thought they were going to have more, cameras or witnesses, man. You guys let me know what you think, but it's not looking good for prosecution. I'm honestly thinking that he's going to be okay with this type of behavior coming from prosecution. But anyways, people, I love you guys. Stay inside. Stay safe, man. Tell your peoples about me. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.